RadioZero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose, Friday, June 27th, 2025, 3 days before the end of the fiscal year 2025. I'm so excited.
Illinois
go on.
state, the state of Illinois' fiscal year,
That's
for those
right.
of you keeping track.
Yeah. Oh, I just got a message on my phone that Poster Children is live and that Greg Norton's friends also follow Poster Children.
Interesting. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and on the Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel, usually in or around 5 p.m. Central every other week. Subscribe. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, RadioZero.us. You can patronize us at patreon.com/RadioZero. Thank you to all of our patrons. Our patrons!
All right, let's see here. I got to turn this off. I got to turn off that. And we're broadcasting from a remote location, right, Rick?
Our second floor.
Our second floor. We're doing a remote live today from the second floor of our compound.
First floor for you UK folks.
Now I don't know if I'm going to wear these glasses or not. I didn't dress for this. Sorry. All right. Well, I've had a day full of, like, I'm doing research for a class that I'm going to teach. That's based on your, like, pursue your dreams and cover your ass class. You know, like not your class, but somebody told you that in high school, right? Remember? It
was the
Army
Career Day. Career Day, and so the story I tell about Career Day is like there were all sorts of jobs, and you'd go around to different classrooms and people present. My dad was in one of the classrooms talking about engineering, and then there was I remember going to the psychiatrist.
But that wasn't part of school.
No.
Okay.
It was, and what was?
Why did you go to the psychiatrist? Were you nuts already? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I was interested.
Okay.
And then the thing was it was an older woman. She was probably in her 30s, but it seemed old. And she had an accent, so that was even funnier.
She was probably in her 20s.
Yeah. And then she told a joke, to start off, and she said, "Well, the question always is what's the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist?" And she said, around $50,000 a year. And it was like complete silence.
Yeah.
It was like a bunch of high school kids who are just like, ugh.
Huh? I know. I'm going to wear these glasses. You guys got me. That the same thing just happened. So I was unfortunate enough to have to stand in front of 200 middle school students and tell them about my life. There's no middle school student alive who cares about my life. As a rock star, my life.
Who cares about anybody's life?
Yeah, exactly.
They're just genetically. You're engineered as a middle school student to be a complete narcissist.
You have to be for your own good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I was like, and what I was told, like, so I'd talked in front of art high school students before, and they really don't care about you at all, and they completely ignore you. But these apparently, like, middle school band kids, they clap for stuff. They like to applaud. And so I was told this like 5 minutes before. I was like, oh, and apparently the guy who talked the day before us, who was talking about his life, they were applauding after every sentence he said. That was like their thing. And so that somebody had to tell them to stop doing that. Like, everything he said, they were like, whoa, and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that could be fun, I guess. Where was I going with this? Oh, so at some point I said, I was like thinking, okay, what do I tell them about? I'll tell them what I was like when I was their age. And I was like, when I was your age, I played Dungeons and Dragons, which is not true. Dungeons and Dragons I don't think was out when I was in middle school, but I played it in high school, maybe it was out. I don't know if it was or not. But when I said Dungeons and Dragons, they were like, woo! Everybody, like the whole 200 kids just started going, woo! And I said, and when they finally calmed down, I said, well, okay, back then it wasn't cool though.
And then it was crickets.
Silence.
Yeah.
It's not even cool now, is it? Like,
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
All right.
whole industries built around it.
Okay. Now I'm gonna have to take these off if I want to see. Wait, no, I don't have to do that.
And so,
Dan and so
career day.
yeah.
And then there was a musician. There was a musician presenting for career day, and that the musician was in the auditorium. So it was everybody else.
Everybody else. Your dad was like what room was he in? Like the math room?
Yeah, I mean it was all just classrooms with 10 kids in it, and then the musician had,
was in the auditorium because
full
everybody
house.
wanted to be a musician.
Yeah.
Great, that's good. Even back then. Yeah.
Well,
so
back then it was before director. Everyone wanted to be a director. That was the next one, and now everyone wants to be a game designer, right? And so before that, musician was cool, and that was the guy was and it had a profound effect on me because he started talking about what he did, and he was like, well, I really want to do soundtrack music. I want to do composition and everything like that, or I wanted to. And so what I did but I went to college and I was an accountant and I did accounting, and I spent, after college, I worked as a CPA. I did all this accounting, and then on the side, I was always composing music, doing soundtracks, doing jingles, helping out with, doing music for friends' films and everything like that. And he said, it's been 15 years, and I'm finally to the point where I don't need to have my full-time accounting job, and I'm going to start. I should find out who this was, actually.
yeah, because I'm gonna have him talk in my music business class.
Yeah, he'd be like, 70 now?
Yeah, that's fine.
But he said, I'm finally making a
he'd be
living,
40.
or I'm bringing in enough money, doing, and he was doing soundtracks, but he was doing jingles, right? So he was probably a Chicago guy, so he's probably doing, which there is no money there anymore, I think, in advertising, jingle work and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think he was somebody's dad?
No.
Okay.
And then he said, so it's the key thing he said is you should pursue your dreams, but cover your ass.
Yeah.
And so he said, I was an accountant. I went to school for accounting. And because I was an accountant, not only did I have a job, but I also knew how to manage money. Right? And it was just like, oh. And that was, And so
and
it
that's
was
why
like,
you
okay,
became a computer scientist.
I guess it's computer science at the University of Illinois for me, right?
You're quoting Tom Cruise in Risky Business.
Yeah.
Guess it's University of Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that's where that came from.
Yeah, so I'm working on that class now because you still can't make a living in the music industry. However, or not right at the beginning, right? And however, I can't really tell music business students that they should get a different degree. I mean, that's not in my best interest to do that. Some of them will though. But anyway, okay, all right, here. So, well, anyway, I've been researching this, and like Routledge just like came out with a book in 2024. I don't know why I got this link, but it's like there's a book that's like entrepreneurship in the arts or whatever, or across the arts or something like that. It's wait, I should look up the title, right? Let me tell you, because I've been looking at it. So it's Artist Entrepreneurship for Life by Diane R. Scott, who I looked up on Facebook, and she's not there. So, but so far, like I'm on page like 17 or something, and it's fantastic so far, right? So these are my notes from it. The business, because I'm clicking on different, like how to implement AI in your courses and stuff, and nothing. It's all like you're fishing. And there's a hook, and then you feel a bite, and then you pull it out, and there's nothing there. There's nothing attached to it. But this is fishing, and I got a bite here. I may have a big fish here. So the business end of an art practice is about how to make your work known, how to allow yourself sufficient time to produce it, and how to gather the financial resources to purchase the needed components and tools. And then also, she doesn't talk about sustainable art practice. She talks about enduring art practice and enduring one, because enduring means that you pursue arts for your whole life, but not necessarily. It's not. It doesn't have to be.
Sustainable would be
that it sustains
pursuing something that would support you for
right,
your whole life.
Right, and this is not
financially sustainable.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like you're going to be an artist. You're going to be an artist. It's going to be an enduring art career, but it's not necessarily going to sustain you in, certain times. And then what was the other thing I have written down? The other thing I had written down, this was really interesting to me. So there's this, do you remember that Snap? There was like a survey of arts, like artist people who've graduated. Alumni, right? Arts alumni. There was a survey. What are you doing now? What do you wish you learned back then? What do you wish, what should we be teaching, et cetera? And so some of the, what do you wish what didn't we cover that you needed to know more of? What do you wish that we knew more of? And like, it's always like, oh, I wish I knew how to manage my finances better. I wish I knew how to communicate through and about my art better. I wish I knew more how to develop a 3 to 5 year strategic plan to realize my goals. But the one that and I wish I knew how to monitor legal and tax issues. These are things that people wanted to know, at least from from the SNAP survey that she got. But the one thing that really blew my mind was students wished that they knew how to adapt to new circumstances. Isn't that funny? Because think about classes, like if you change it, you change anything, like you know what, this isn't due until next week. Or like even something in the class, or like the classic example is somebody changing an exam. Like, hey, you know what, the exam's not going to be next Friday, it's going to be earlier, it's going to be Wednesday. Like you can never do that. But students now would die, right? They would keel over. We would have too.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But afterwards it says 3 to 5 years later, or no, this is actually even longer than that. Like some have been graduated for a long time. They wish they knew how to adapt to new circumstances. And
I think that's interesting. But like, is there a way to teach that? And is it really, you just learn from experience, don't you? I mean,
okay, but here's the way to teach it is that I think I teach that pretty well. Like something happens in my class, or like a new guest speaker comes, and I go, hey, guess what? We're going to do this instead now. Hey, here's a different assignment. You guys didn't have it before. I'm just giving it to you now. Sorry, like.
Yeah, so that's adapting, but it's like, you're adapting, right? They're having to just deal with the fact that you've changed things around, right? So, but creating somebody that's flexible, or like learning how to be flexible and adaptable, that means that they have, and so that's where, like anytime working on projects, right? That to me is where it all comes in, because every time you work on a project, something's going to go wrong. There's going to be some kind of time delay. You're going to have to, it's problem solving, right? To me, adaptability is problem solving, right? And surprises. And there's always going to be a surprise, even if you're prepared. So there's a point where it's like, there's preparation, right? And then there's being able to problem solve, because there's only so much preparation you can do, and then things will go wrong, and dealing with that. Yeah, so how to deal with that? How do you learn how to do that? And I think the way you learn how to do that is do stuff, right?
Yeah, it's being exposed all the time, but also like not like the classic example of when back when we were on Sire, and then all of a sudden people started trading MP3s and stuff like that, right? You could download music, you didn't have to sell CDs anymore. And so what did you do to adapt? And like Metallica was suing people who were downloading their MP3s, and so either you can sue, but that's if you do a little bit of research, you realize that the Pandora's box is open, and people are going to be, it's over. You're not going to make money selling CDs anymore, so you need to adapt.
But teaching that, it's not like, oh, well, what we're going to do today is we're going to completely change the culture and of this one area. We're going to change the culture of music, and now you're going to have to learn how to adapt, and that's how we're going to teach it. Like, you can't teach that.
Well, but you can teach that when something changes,
yeah,
you got to be okay with it.
So that's problem solving, teaching,
problem
and
solving,
dealing with surprise.
Yeah.
And so that to me is, again, it goes back to like, project-based classes, filmmaking, things like that, where it's like something is always going to go wrong, and you're going to have to adapt, and you're going to have to think on the fly. And that's how you learn how to do that. Even like,
and this goes against like best practices too. But like I've had things in my syllabus where like, okay, we're gonna read this, and you guys got to find it. You have to find the link to it. I'm not going to give you the link to it, and then that's goes completely against best practices because it's hard for them to find the link. But what if the link's broken, or something like that? So you give them, you say, hey, you need to find this article. Here's who it's by. You need to find it.
And so here's my question.
Yeah.
Game culture. I've been thinking about this again a lot, where it's like, because I talked to our younger son about this, like we're, playing this game and everything like that. And I said, yeah, games are achievement crack. They make you feel like you've achieved something. They tickle that achievement thing. But you're kind of just doing stuff, right? But there's no, there is a reward, right? But you're not actually achieving really anything of value. I guess you can if you're, a gaming athlete,
you're
right? An esports
teamwork,
athlete,
yeah.
right? No, you're not though. Really, are you? I guess you kind of are. You are learning stuff, right? Just in the same way you learn from books and you're learning from the narratives. Teamwork, maybe, yeah. If you're working, you're playing with a group of people, but. What was I going to say about that, though? Oh, yeah. So now everybody's kind of programmed in the culture of gaming and that kind of gaming thing. And so that's it. And gaming, has, games have a complex system and numerous pathways of achievement, but they are structured, right? They're still guided stuff. And so, and then there are elements of surprise, and you have to figure out stuff, and you have to keep trying. You have to keep working on it to get through that boss level, right? But my worry is that kind of, I feel like there's a lot of pushback, or there's a lot of need from, or desire from students to have very prescribed, sort
levels.
Everything. It's like, tell me exactly what I need to do. Yeah. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Give me all the steps.
What do you want from me? What do you want me to do?
Give me the framework.
Yeah.
And then I'm just filling in the widgets. Or, you know what? I'm just going to write a query. How do this, complete this. Yeah. Build this thing. You do a query, it builds it, and it's like, I've solved the problem. I've gamed the system, right? Mm-hmm. And so they haven't gone through the learning process of, I've got to research stuff. I've got to figure out things. I've got to do this and that. No, I found a workaround, which is just write a query and have something go, there it is. There's a 20-page usability report, usability study. I just had to type in the parameters of the assignment, and then I got it done. I achieved, right? Mm-hmm. And so none of that has given any kind of experiential learning,
right,
or anything.
Yeah.
It's just achievement. Yeah. I've gotten the goal, and that to me seems game-like. So the gamification, right? So that was like the term for a while with education, and then it was like, that's a poisonous term. But it's like, and it's like, but I think everything's it. And this just sounds like old man. You kids with your video games, and everything's a video game, But it's kind of like, I mean, if that's the way. If
you need the carrot in front of you all the time, like you need the defined carrot, the defined orange carrot in front of you all the time.
If that's your way of processing and working and achieving is all through that framework, right? How does that, affect the world? So it is kind of like, so the type of media. So to me, it was always like, we're now in the era of the internet. So everything's going to be nodes and connections, and it's going to be kind of like a network society. But now I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's old. And, it was like, you had your book culture and newspaper, societies. and then you had your TV societies, right? And then we moved into internet culture, right? And society, and now maybe it's
game culture.
Yeah, and society, and so that means, ooh, what is that world? If everything's gamified, right? But gamified not in the we're going to trick people into learning kind of gamification, but it's just like, everything is sort of experienced and structured through this framework of gaming.
So, and also don't forget social media with the likes too. So everything you do, it's like, oh, well, how many people liked this? And you're just waiting. You go online to see, to be acknowledged and stuff like that.
And somebody even said, I was in a meeting today, and somebody said, oh yeah, the kids love micro credentials, and I was just like, they do? And I was like, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's the new strategic plan.
Spinning me out, where it's just like, because I always had the problem with Scooby Snacks, what I called Scooby Snacks, getting points for doing,
right.
You read something, you posted, on the forum, and I'm going to give you a point for doing, just grunt work, basically, like basic,
and then if you don't give points, then they're not going to do it even.
Yeah, and that's one thing, but then it's like, everything's got to have this more sort of micro-credentialed reward system, which I guess is fine. Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like, you got to figure out, so then what is that world? How do you teach within that framework?
Yeah, you're right. I was going to say something, and now I can't remember what it was.
And it's not gamification, and I'm not talking about 10 years ago, or what everybody was talking about 10 years ago. It's like, you got to gamify learning. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how, there's people are wired for this sort of basic game reward achievement system.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So you said you were talking to the kid about it, the 16-year-old. What did he have to say about it?
I wasn't talking about all that. It was I just said my usual thing is that video games are achievement crack. It basically makes you feel like you've achieved something. It does, I think there's a need, right?
Yeah.
Or some people, or at least people have that, and so this is something where, you can work through it and you feel like you've done something.
Yeah, I remember giving up when one of the kids was really into Minecraft, and they were like, "Look, I'm building I've got a garden. Look at these are all my carrots, and these are all my whatever else you have. Whatever you have, you can build a garden with in Minecraft." And I was like, "Can you come outside, please, and help me actually plant the carrots?" And they were like, "Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that." And I was like, "But we'll actually have carrots, and they'll grow, And then they were like, "Nah, I don't want that." Okay. So I am still but still I don't want students to graduate, not get a job in the music industry, and feel like failures. I want them to have enduring arts careers where they do art as much as they can. They do art. They're lifelong artists.
Yeah. So why do you use the word career for that then?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just working on
career.
it now. I'm working on it right now. I'm working on it.
It's a creative life,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so creative life and capitalism.
Yeah. Don't
very,
mix.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Mix.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I was surprised though to see students saying, "Oh, I wish I'd learned adaptability and resilience." Like those are the terms that I feel like we used in our. I think that's what we used in our survey. Like it wasn't like adapting to. Well, no, we used the term resilience.
And so this is the problem. This is all the stuff that it's like, that's what the value of higher education is. I think is like teaching problem solving, resilience, adaptability, and all of those are fucking soft. They're super soft. And so the problem is that you've got administration, you've got a culture that says we need to have, quantifiable results. We need to see numbers. Give me numbers for that, right? This total university is business bullshit where it's like, I need to see numbers to show how, like the value of this, like teaching all this, collaboration and teaching all this soft stuff. And it's even like the businesses, they'll come back. We want employees who are problem solvers. They're flexible, adaptable, everything like that. And then the fucking business community saying universities are a waste of time. They're not, they're not teaching
problem solving.
don't teach you how to build the widget, and it's like you fucking. That's not what That's not what you want.
Yeah.
That's not what you need, and yet you're saying through your capitalist bullshit, glasses that you need factory workers. We want people, and it's like you're saying both at the same time, or you're condemning, higher education as not this nuts and bolts manufacturing, factory.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like, you know what? Yeah, we're doing these magical, or we should be doing these magical soft skills that everyone needs, right? And yet it's all STEM, blah, 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 engineering, blah, 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 and it's like, but, the engineers are saying, oh, we need content. We need to teach collaboration. We need to teach design thinking,
right.
blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but it's like STEM, engineering, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but wait, we need, these teams don't know how to work together. They don't know how to do anything. They just sit there and stare at a wall for 16
that's
weeks,
where we
and
come
they don't
in,
know
Rick.
how to work together and build.
That's
and
where we come in, Rick.
Yeah,
we're artists and engineers.
Why don't you dump some money in actual, all of this sort of soft skill shit that we should be teaching and everybody wants, right? But the problem is that you've got a bunch of fascists who are saying you're not teaching people how to build widgets. You're teaching people to be artists, and those are losers and they have no value. And it's like, we're not teaching people to be artists. We're teaching people to be, creative,
helpful,
yeah.
critical thinking members of society, and some other words too.
That's anti-fascist.
That's true. That is Antifa. Dannon says happy Friday, and that he was watching the first part of the brand new Failure documentary, which was released to Hulu today. Lots of Albini footage in the early part when they were discussing recording their first album.
The good record?
Is that like Saturday Savior? Is that? Oh, no. I forgot.
I just say that to upset
I know,
people.
yeah.
Because I like the first Failure record. I like the one that Steve recorded. But
why is there a Failure documentary?
Because they're one of the best bands ever.
They are great. They are a great band. And we went on tour with them.
It's yeah. I mean,
yeah. They were absolutely wonderful. We'll have to watch that. I feel weird like watching a documentary about people that I kind of know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll watch it. Because every time you watch a documentary about people then you're always kind of like, well, how much? Well, okay, I'm excited to watch it. So thanks, Dannon, for that. There's something else too that I want to watch. The movie about the band that goes to there's something on Peacock that I told you about. I want to watch
Tim
that.
Key movie.
We got to also watch. We've got the next season of The Bear, whatever season it was, 6 or 7, I can't remember.
And I am really upset that we haven't watched every episode yet of the 4th season, because some people within our pod here need to watch the old episodes apparently before we can watch the 4th season.
I think that they didn't. I'm pretty sure they didn't finish the 3rd season, but maybe they did. I don't remember. My funny thing was I was sure, I was like when I was talking to those some people, who was obviously not you or me. And I was like, let me know when you're watching Forks, because that's my episode, and that's like probably 8 of the 1st season. And then like the next day they told me, no, it's the 2nd season. And I was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. Oh, that's great. Okay, so I'll watch episode 8, or whatever episode's getting up there in episodes. And then, we'll watch the new season 3. And then that person informed me, no, there is a whole nother season after. Then I was like, oh yeah, that's why I knew there was another season after Forks. And then there's like a nice Jamie Lee Curtis episode where she's not evil. Right? She's a good mom. Like she becomes a good mom. I have to watch it again. Okay.
My thing is that that 3rd season, I think the creator, he's writing plays, and they're like teleplays, like they're televised plays. Like it's gone full on. It totally reminded me of like seeing, Steppenwolf, and like seeing True Grit on Channel 11, with John Malkovich and what's his name from Forrest Gump.
It's Artie.
And it's more like, oh, I've written a play and we're filming it, and but I liked the earlier stuff. So I understand the conceit, I think, of the 3rd season, but
I do too. Like, so we
but
watched.
I don't remember much of it, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel like and then just seeing that first episode of the third season where it's just all like
There's
flashback.
no talk.
It's like a clip show. Like, in the old days, like when TV shows, they ran out of money and then they do a thing where it's like, Mork, remember that time
Oh, yeah.
in season 1 when you didn't have, your legs? And then they flash back and then, you remember that time when we were in the music store and the other alien came in? And they just do a clip show.
Yeah.
Of all memories, and they just do a couple of inserts, and then, but this was like, oh, we're going to do a clip show with half flashbacks and then half new stuff, but it's all clips without any of the remember this, remember that, and no, like, well, I think there was a little bit of narrative around it, but it's just like, okay, we're going too far now. This isn't narrative television anymore.
All right, so but okay,
and
so it's art.
You can't
it's
do
art.
Koanascatsi with a narrative TV show. It like got so expressionistic where it's just kind of like, okay, but it's still a TV show, and it's really all it is baby Springsteen, looking into the camera, looking sad. I'm so excited for the Bruce Springsteen movie with him.
Are you really?
Carmi. Yeah, because from what I understand, it's really just him. It's going to be all about 4-track cassette recording. There was actually a scene. So the thing is it's about Bruce Springsteen recording Nebraska, which he recorded on 4-track cassette. And they did actually, in one of the previews, they did show him sitting in his bedroom with an engineer. So that's the thing, is the thing about Nebraska is, he recorded it on a 4-track cassette, but he also had a real engineer, there doing it.
Which song is that? Can you sing that for me?
I can't sing.
Okay.
It's the whole record. It's a whole record.
It's a whole record
that
of
he
Nebraska.
supposedly made on a Porta Studio, Tascam Porta Studio. Okay. But yeah, in theory, that's what the movie's about. But that record, right, and making that record, but it's going to be like, a bunch of stuff with him looking out on the highway, driving in a car, looking sad.
But they're going to be like a little anti-Trump message, maybe? Didn't he have an argument with Trump?
Yeah, just his existence and his story will be anti-Trump.
Anti-Trump.
It's
okay,
like a musician, artist.
Right. Back to the bear, though. Okay, so look, you can Koyaanisqatsi it for like a 40-minute first episode. I think that's okay.
I don't think so.
I think it's okay. And then the second episode was them just swearing and arguing with each other.
Yeah.
And me and the kid, we were laughing and laughing. It was great.
And that's good. Yeah, that to me is where it's more like a play. Like a filmed play, and that's what's going on, and I like that. I appreciate it. And the episode that I remember with Jamie Lee Curtis and Bob and Ray's granddaughter, talking in the hospital. That is like a little play. Right?
Yeah, it's all plays.
Yeah,
it's okay. You know what? If you don't want to watch a fucking play, then watch, I don't know, whatever other stupid TV show. Go watch Game of Thrones or whatever Game of Thrones is right now. What's Game of Thrones right now? What are people watching that they like? Probably nothing, actually. But, I think it's okay for them to get all arty and stuff. I think they earned it. That's what I think. And I was thinking about this morning, like as I was trying to get ready for work. I was like thinking that it's like a band, like you make your all right, I'm going to have to use Poster Children as an example, right? You make your daisy chain reaction, everybody likes it, and then you make your Tool of the Man, and then other people like it. And, it's like it's different. Or you just make the same fucking, I don't know, Superchunk song over and 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 over again, and then people love you for that too, I guess, I mean, I'm talking out my ass. I don't know what the new Superchunk record sounds like, but there's like, but you're screwed. You can't keep making the same song over and over again because people get bored of it, especially with the bear. I don't think they can keep doing. I don't think that's sustainable over however many seasons they want to be sustainable over. I mean, I'm trying to think of what I watched. Like Handmaid's Tale had like 6 or 7 seasons, and it's not sustainable. You can't just keep going. Ted Lasso too. They even know that they can't you're going to end up with a season that everybody's going to be, oh, that season sucked.
But
That record sucked.
They are going to make another one.
I know, but they're like, well, this one's for sure. Or they're like, we're not doing it again. The band's breaking up. And then people are like really sad. Oh, you shouldn't break up. You should make another record. And then like you make another, the band gets back together again. Everybody's so thankful. And then and then people like the new record or something like that. But you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
That's what's fascinating about the Twin Peaks third season is like I feel like I talked to some people who like more you're upsetting the normals. That I saw that
tell the Ramones that or AC.
Yeah, the Ramones. Yeah, no, it's totally the Ramones. So yeah, I was going to mention the Ramones,
okay.
And so that was a problem. That was a problem with the Ramones, though. Is
what?
Like
same song
samey,
over and over
samey,
again? Yeah.
And then there was all those years where they're trying to do a variety of stuff,
yeah.
right? That's what the fucking
People
Phil
don't like
Spector
it.
record's
Right.
all about.
Yeah.
That's what's the record after that with the guys from 10? Was it the guys from 10cc? There's crazy stuff going on with Ramones where it's like, oh, they're just always the same, and so let's try to mix it up. Let's try to figure out a way to make them popular, and there was. Yeah, it's a problem though. I mean, living through that, it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, here's another Ramones record, and
You're
looking
damned
back,
if you do.
it's great. I mean, there's I've got what's the one with the graffiti, and there are a couple good songs on that record where they're in the train car.
Well, yeah. So each
Even the
album
record-
is like a whole season of a TV show.
The
Imagine
record,
that.
Dave Stewart, right from the Eurythmics, he did at least I'm trying to remember that record I have, and there are a couple songs that are kind of weird that have a weird synthesizer intro, and then it's a Ramones song, and I don't think Dave Stewart did the whole record, but it's you hear that all the time. Whereas I guess there's a Tom Petty record with Dave Stewart, and that had a hit song on it, so it could work, I guess. But anyways, I don't know. Yeah,
it's hard.
hard.
So I'm gonna, and then I think I know that there's a shellac song over the credits of one of the new Bear season 4. So I'm excited to hear that. I think I already saw somebody going, like Variety or something, oh, it's just mediocrity, it's just mediocre. They're just serving up the same, using a little serving up the same platter, blah blah blah. You know what? I don't care. I enjoy that company of actors, and I need something to do, so I'm gonna watch it, and I'm not gonna fucking complain about it. And I'm gonna I really feel like it earned, like even with the first 2. I just watched the first 2 episodes of the season 3, and I know people hated it, but like I think. I think it's neat. I think it's respectable that they're trying to do different things with it. That's what I think. You know what I mean? And then God help us when the Ted Lasso season, 4 comes out, or whatever the new season comes out with the girls football team. Jesus Christ. I'm going to cross myself. Okay. So, Dannon says, April Smith says hi. Dannon says, I got my first basic set in 1980, but didn't start playing around until 1996.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I played Dungeons and Dragons in junior high. So you could have been playing it.
I could have been playing.
Yeah,
D&D started in 1974. Your friends started it, so
no,
you're much
not
cooler.
at all. No,
yeah, you're not friends with him anymore.
No,
I know.
In junior high.
Yeah. Okay.
He was in junior high too. That like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
a dungeon master. Like he did a whole Dungeons and Dragons thing at the public library one day. We had a Dungeons and Dragons kids come learn to play Dungeons and Dragons, and so we had like 4 tables set up, and he set up.
You did that with him?
Yeah, we I think there were 4 of us, so he did
you were
DM, he designed the game.
You were in middle school?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I was in I think I was in middle school, and like I DM'd and a couple of the other guys, and he DM'd. We each DM'd a table of a bunch of kids.
Dannon wants you to know that it was 1986, not 1996, that he started playing Dungeons and Dragons. And so wait a minute. So wait, you DM'd a table?
Yeah.
You were a dungeon master?
One time, yeah.
I'm even more attracted to you now. So what kind
attracted
of to middle school
12-year-old,
yeah,
Rick, 13-year-old?
Sure. My 12-year-old Rose is attracted. Sorry, 13-year-old Rose is attracted to 12-year-old.
Yeah, now I'm trying to think. I have no memory of the actual event. Although I do remember I wore my iron-on T-shirt from Tattoo, the iron-on store. That was a 3/4 sleeve white shirt with red 3/4 sleeves, and then it had a big mouth with a tongue sticking out. It was not a Rolling Stones logo, but it looked kind of like that. That's what I wore at the Dungeons and Dragons Festival at the public library.
What kind of we should do that again. You should redo that again. What kind of character would you play?
What was my main character in D&D? A cleric.
See, if somebody asked me that about you, I would have answered a cleric because I know this. And you wouldn't have been an elfin cleric either, right? You weren't an elf.
No, I was human.
Yeah.
Cleric.
Yeah.
Lawful good.
Lawful good, yeah. What about me? What do you think I was?
Some kind of elf.
Uh-huh.
Some kind of dwarfy elf thing.
What would have been my alignment?
I don't know. Would you have been?
Don't be an asshole.
Lawful Keebler. Keebler good.
You know what? Oh yeah. Oh, elves, Keebler elves. Yet which one of the two of us like DM'd a fucking Dungeons and Dragons thing in middle school at their public library? Wasn't me, Keebler elf. Okay. Punk rock, Danny Ingram says punk rock doesn't come with a 401k and dental plan. Not yet, Danny, but wouldn't it be cool if it did? Actually, I thought that our colleagues were working on that. Maybe it wasn't punk rock, though. Chrissy says, I could have used way more of that, learning how to adapt within your field, how to be flexible, etc. Graduated BFA Theater, IWU, it must be Wesleyan, 97. I would make a different choice if I could go back. Dannon says the first one is comfort. What do you think that was 12 minutes ago, what we were talking about?
That's the first Failure record.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great record. Okay. Dannon says, binged all of season 4 the other night. Season 4 of what?
I'm sure The Bear.
The Bear. Oh, my God, Dannon. Okay. Chrissy says, Gary Sinise.
Yeah, Gary Sinise, yes. It's in True Grit.
Okay.
True Grit, right? True West. True Grit. Wow, True West is the play that they shot. I think it's Steppenwolf, right? So it's it was John Malkovich and Gary Sinise. I think it's up on YouTube now, or it's still available. It's really I don't know. I saw it probably around the same time I was DMing that Dungeons and Dragons thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a little later, but that's a profound movie to watch as a young man, or play. True West. It's just the two of them going at each other for an hour and a half. It's pretty.
We should watch that. We expose the young one to that. He's not very young yet anymore.
Yeah,
is he? Too old for that.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't even know what that. I don't know what you're talking about. By the way,
it's a Sam Shepard play. So it's pretty. It's.
What? Okay,
I'm sure
now
it's
that's
probably toxically masculine.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to the Sam Shepard play compartment of my head got closed off like when I jumped in the pool the other day. So can you remind me what other plays?
I think that's the only one I've seen. I mean, Sam Shepard. What's weird is most people know him as an actor, I guess. But some people know him as an actor. I mean, he was a playwright, but he's in Days of Heaven. He's the farmer.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to remember which guy. Yeah, okay, all right. Chad Twiner says, tell the Ramones that, or AC/DC. That was back when we were talking about whether or not record, just how hard it is you either continue with the same sound or you don't.
And so the thing is, though, is both those bands had to push through kind of, a fallow period, right, where you become irrelevant, and then you push through. The Ramones, I guess you could say they kind of broke up and then died, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't quite have the big revival. Like a Ramones tour now, I think would have been more insane than in 1996, right?
Okay, Chad.
Similar to AC/DC, right?
Chad Twiner says Subterranean Jungle is the Graffiti Train record.
Yep.
Dannon says 1986, not 1996, was when he was playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Back when it wasn't cool.
Chad Twiner says Cleric for the win, or Fuck the World. I'm not sure it's the FTW, probably for the win. Dannon says, now I totally want to play Dungeons & Dragons with Rick as the DM. Do you? Do you really, Dannon? I don't know. Maybe. Chad Twiner says Magic and Weapons. And Chrissy says Buried Child.
Ooh, that one I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
where
And then let
that
me
came
look on
from.
the RadioZero. There's nothing going on that side.
And then there's been a little bit of activity on Twitch so High Poster Children glad to finally catch a stream,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
now and then there was some spammy thing. So it took me a few minutes to figure out how to delete the spammy thing on Twitch. But now there was a real person too.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. Well, welcome. Well, we're gaming on Twitch right now, right? Right? Are you the leprechaun? I'm playing
Leprechaun.
I'm playing.
What
I'm
game
playing
is
an,
that?
I'm playing an oat, an oaf. Okay, so let's see. I went to visit my mom this week in Florida. That was fun. She lives in a house. Like it was just as hot as it is here in Illinois. It was really, really hot. But they have a pool in the backyard, so I went in her pool constantly, and the pool was kept at like 90 degrees. So it was just wonderful. It was so cool.
Sounds insane.
Talking to her about movies and stuff, and trying to get her to understand, because she's like, what are your kids like, and I'm like, so I'm trying to figure out, like, and she's so older people in the older generation of us, like older ladies, they seem to like to watch movies from their younger times. And so one of my friends who's in her 80s likes to watch like the like Fred Astaire type movies and stuff like that.
You said something confusing. Older ladies of our generation.
The older ladies of our generation. So we're an older.
80-year-olds.
Yeah. So our generation, the older ladies.
You're the old. You're actually one of the oldest of your generation.
Yes, but so in our generation,
yes,
what we would call an old lady.
Okay.
Yeah,
not
so
an old
that's
lady.
right. Yeah.
Not an 80-year-old of our generation.
Correct. The old ladies, what we talk about old ladies, they like to watch like the really old, like Gone with the Wind and stuff, because that's from their. And
Yeah.
so I was wondering, does my mom like that?
And these 80-year-olds are not that old. Although Gone with the Wind would have shown in revivals. They showed they would run it through the theaters again. Yeah.
So one of the ladies in her 80s that I know likes to watch movies like that. And then my mom likes to watch movies with, like, I'm trying to think now.
Does she like to watch movies or just TV shows about women who murder their husbands?
She doesn't like that anymore.
Oh, she doesn't like the murdered husband movies anymore?
She's like The Firm. She likes that, movies like that. The Firm.
I like any movie where Tom Cruise is running.
Yeah. So she likes The Firm. She likes, like
Does he
Justice.
run in The Firm? I feel like he runs in The Firm.
Justice-y movies. So
someone confirm that so I don't have to watch The Firm.
Okay. So I'm trying to explain to her Wes Anderson. I'm like trying to figure out how, because that's what our youngest one likes Wes Anderson movies, and I hate them. I don't hate them.
Just say it's like somebody who watched a lot of Hal Ashby films and then a bunch of Ingmar Bergman films and then watched a bunch of they claim to be a fan of Japanese cinema and things like Akira Kurosawa, but it's also Godzilla movies. And then you put them in a blender, and then they make a movie.
What about all of the real snooty fucking this child genius is a blah 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 blah.
Do you know the people who read more than just Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger?
There you go. Yes.
Those people,
Yeah.
if they made a movie.
Yeah.
And then their parents
Yeah.
subscribe to the New Yorker.
Right.
And
People
then
who subscribe to the New Yorker.
They claim they read it
Yes.
too.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly. It's like people. Who's the Tenet guy?
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, it's Christopher Nolan for
Wasps.
people who
No.
Yeah.
So Christopher Nolan's for Wasps as opposed to Christopher Nolan's not Catholic. I'm trying to he's got to be Church of England, right? Kind of, because he also he could
Christopher
also
Nolan
claim
is
he's
Christopher Nolan for Wasps.
a Chicagoan, an Evanston kid.
So it's Christopher Nolan for people who read the New Yorker. For Christopher Nolan right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's the favorite thing is I haven't started reading the book yet. I should read you the title because I got it. I think I talked to you about this. But this woman, kind of a feminist, but like a radical, not a radical feminist, but kind of like angry, like sounds kind of like a Gen X. I need to need to figure out. I need to find out more about her
Okay.
other stuff. But her book that I just got out. But she calls, she's called. I totally remember this because it was in the review of her new book. But it said she called the New Yorker a dentist magazine.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally, yeah,
Which is just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and the thing is like, if you live in the Midwest, the New Yorker wasn't at the dentist's office, was it? Your dad didn't have the New Yorker
did.
at the dentist, did he? Okay.
Yes.
Because to me, like, somebody calling the New Yorker a dentist's magazine is somebody who's already so in like
ingrained in the New York-
Manhattan,
yeah,
like
yeah.
elitist, and it's
No,
like,
they had- my
oh, the
dad
New
had it.
Yorker
Yeah.
is the kind of magazine that would be in a dentist's office, and it's like, that's no dentist's office.
Anyway, I'm
I
trying.
went
So
to.
I'm trying to like. I'm like, Mom, and so they look a certain way. That's the thing is, I think he likes that they look a certain way, and there's a a filter like that you can put on your videos to make it look that way, but you'd have to pay for it. And she's like, I don't care how movies look. I just care this, and I don't want to watch any fucking movie that you're gonna propose for me, except that I love the game.
Okay, so this is the book that I just got from the
Okay.
library. Jessica Crispin, What is Wrong with Men, Patriarchy, the Crisis of Masculinity, and How, parentheses, of course, Michael Douglas films explain everything.
Oh, I can't
So
wait to
it's-
read that.
It's all,
Oh, that's so cool.
It's all about toxic masculinity viewed through
Michael Douglas films?
Michael Douglas movies. So
Movies.
like Wall Street, Falling Down, things like that.
Oh,
And
that's
it's just like
great.
using Michael
The
Douglas.
Game,
as-
too, right?
The Game,
Yeah,
I think
because-
is in there.
Right,
Yeah.
because he's wasn't there like I'm trying to remember well it's Michael Douglas and he has a brother, right, in the game?
Sean Penn.
Yeah. And Sean Penn like was the older brother, right? And he made
Younger
Michael
brother.
Was he the younger
Yeah,
brother
he's
and
the
somebody
younger
made somebody else go
black
through
sheep.
the game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And that's the
wow,
thing.
wow, man,
Actually,
that's great.
just go off on a tangent. I can't remember what we started with here. Oh, movies and your mother. Watching both The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which is a Ben Stiller film, which I was okay, but seeing how much of like Severance, even though Secret Life of Walter Mitty is like 10, almost 15 years old now.
See, I thought that
And-
movie was like 40 years old.
It is. There's the
Oh,
Danny
okay, all
Kaye
right,
version,
all
and
right,
the
all right,
short
right,
story
yeah.
is like 60 years old,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's again the only what I'm trying to remember who wrote that. Is James Thurber? Did he write that?
Somebody will let
Again,
us
more
know.
New Yorker shit, right?
Yeah.
But the younger was like Sean Penn's in that, and it's like I'm like, how do you know Sean Penn? Oh, and we knew Sean Penn because we watched John Mulaney, and Sean Penn was on the John Mulaney
that's
show
right.
and was smoking throughout, which
Yeah,
is just
that's right.
like
Yeah.
an alien radical thing, like seeing somebody on like
John Mulaney, like just always trying. Oh, also he's in The Bear too, right?
But I realized the kid had seen The Game, and that's how he knew
Right.
Sean Penn. But
Oh,
it's like
man.
Sean Penn, like thinking about him as an actor is like, and then the kid said, "Oh, he's a good actor, right?" And it's like in The Game, and then I'm trying to remember what else, and it's like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, he is a good actor, but it's kind of like, wow, but he was just in something, right? I
Sean
mean,
Penn?
he's still actively
Probably-
he's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah,
actively
yeah,
acting,
yeah.
but it was
Yeah, yeah.
he was in a preview. Oh, is he going to be in the P.T. Anderson movie? He might be in that. Anyways,
All right, so still like so you want your mom to like a movie. Well, I want my mom to watch a movie and be happy and like it, right? That's because I like I like certain movies. So what did I? Oh, and I'm like, Mom, the Barbie movie, hated it. She hated it. She had to turn it off in the first 5 minutes. She doesn't like movies like that. I'm like, but you don't even know what it was about. She's like, I know what it was about, and I hated it. But she turned it off at the beginning, So I'm like, but Mom, it's like feminist. So Mom, there were like 4 movies that came out at the same time as the Barbie movie that were mom and daughter movies. That's one of them. Turning Red was another one. Fucking Everything Everywhere All at Once was one of them. And she's like, oh, what was that about? And I'm like, I actually think she might. She's like, that sounds interesting. So maybe she would watch that movie. Anyway, I'm moving to the, and also I want her to know my children. So I want her to, and she's like, well, what kind of movies does Dow like? So I'm like thinking, okay, I need to just show her what the Wes Anderson movie looks like, because maybe she'll be like, oh my God, that looks so interesting. I want to see it. But so I'm like looking up Wes Anderson movie on YouTube, like short something, what can I show her? She's not going to like the Southwest one. She's not going to care about that at all. The one that just came out, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, and then like, what's his name? The brother, what's his name? Owen Wilson's brother comes up.
Luke Wilson.
With the tennis.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
She's a tennis player. I'll show her this. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to love it. Look, Mom. I pull it up. There's a clip. Gwyneth Paltrow, walking in slow motion towards Luke Wilson, right? I'm like, she's going to know who Gwyneth Paltrow is. She might be interested in that. And I stopped it in the middle of it on Luke Wilson because I go, look, Mom, it's a tennis player. And she goes, what's the movie? I can't remember. I'm sorry. What's the movie that I'm describing here? The Wes Anderson.
You're talking about the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah. She looks at it. She goes, oh yeah, tennis. And she goes, oh, that's the Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah, I saw that. It was great. It was weird. And I'm like, oh, you saw that? And she's like, yeah, it was a crazy movie.
So we also watched The Life Aquatic, and so I think
I heard you guys just watched that.
And we had forced the younger one to watch because he likes the more recent Wes Anderson movies, so we forced him to watch The Royal Tenenbaums, which was good.
Yeah,
it's good.
I actually don't hate that one as much as all the
I think The Life Aquatic I think it's amazing because it's funny too, but it's very Manny.
Yeah, it's very Manny.
Yeah.
So what did we just? Was there a new? I'm sorry, my mind is wiped now. Like the Royal Tenenbaums, that was the last straw. Was there just a new Wes Anderson movie?
Yeah, we went to see it.
Yeah, what was it called?
The Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't care at all about the hoity-toity fucking characters. I didn't care about it.
He's becoming more and more formalist, or it's like I feel like I'm watching. Yeah, I mean he was always but it's like and actually talking about plays, and so he's doing, as opposed to the plays like what I was talking about, like teleplays, like filmed versions of Steppenwolf 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that's exactly
on public
what's
television,
going on. Yeah,
which is interesting because Wes Anderson, right? Was it Wes Anderson's dad was the PBS guy, or was it Owen Wilson, the Wilson brothers? One of them's their dad was a PBS, ran the PBS affiliate.
Wow.
One of the first people to bring Monty Python to the States, things like that. So it has that kind of PBS thing. But the Wes Anderson, it's more of the kind of Ingmar Bergman like play within the film kind of. He's doing that now, but it's like so structured, and I feel like you can almost see it like in the same way you see the sets moving, right? Like him moving the characters through things.
Yeah.
It's so just.
And it's
planned,
right? And my like I'm not on Letterboxd. I should be, but we came home and I was like, I didn't hate it, and I've only fell asleep once or something.
Yeah.
I usually and this is what I told my mom too. We're sitting in the pool. I'm like, I can't believe you watched that. She's like, yeah, it was a crazy movie. And I said, well, I hated it because this is why I hated it. He hates women, and she's like, poor mom is just sitting there in the pool, and I'm like, this is why I hated the movie. It's because these two characters are in love. The tennis player's in love with Gwyneth Paltrow, because I couldn't remember Owen Wilson's brother's name, and she's like, yes, but she was adopted, and I'm like, yes, but she cut it off. And then we had a whole episode, at least one episode on this. She cut it off, and then he tried to commit suicide, and that is a lot of responsibility to put on a woman. Yeah. He's like, if you're not going to be with me, I'm going to kill myself.
But it's and the thing is I don't think it's as super. I do feel like it can be problematic, but I do feel like it's more complicated, and it's not just simply like, a woman rejected me, and I'm going to kill myself. I don't think that's what happened.
You've never been in the position having rejected somebody and having them decide to kill themselves, by the way.
Well,
because that could be a trigger for people.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying it can't be a trigger or anything like that. I'm not being insensitive. What I'm saying is that there's more complexity in what's going on.
Yeah.
It's more of a tragic. It's like, is Romeo and Juliet, is that just simply
about a witch or whatever. Yeah, I understand. I understand. I
There are no
just think
witches
when
in
there's
the-
I know
Yeah, okay.
whatever.
Are there witches in Romeo and Juliet?
Probably,
Now,
there
now I'm
probably
all
are.
mixed up.
It's Shakespeare, so there's probably a witch there.
Yeah,
in there
there's always a
somewhere.
witch, right? It's Shakespeare. It's one big play.
All right. Anyway, I can have my I'm always on the lookout though. Like I'm like I'm like waiting like for a women hating moment and I feel actually bad about that. But anyway, I do like the Royal Tenenbaums. I find it tragic that that Owen Wilson's brother is going to kill himself because what's her name who smokes is not going to go with him even though she was. Whatever.
It's more than that.
Yeah,
it's more than that. It is the brother sister thing, but they're not brother and sister. It's also that, the complexity. It's a very. I feel like it's a more complex tragic.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
a tragedy.
And it's also very beautiful. And the same with the train movie in the Southwest. They're all beautiful movies.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
I don't know. You know what? I feel like. I really do think it's the New Yorker's Christopher Nolan. I think Wes Anderson is New Yorker. Is Christopher Nolan for New? It's not New Yorker likers. It's something else. It's like
I'm
there's
just
a
writing
perfect.
for my note, New Yorker Nolan.
Okay. All right.
That said, so also you missed out on the F1, the younger.
Right,
Lauren I
and
went
so
to
he
see
came.
F1.
You guys came home. I wanted to applaud good parenting moment, and then I want to hear all about it. But what your son did was he came upstairs and he said we went to see the movie goodnight. Says goodnight to me, and then I said how was it? And he said, well, there were only 2 women in it. Neither of them talked to each other. One of them was a love interest. And he gave me a whole female version report of it. He goes and he ends up so you would have hated it. And then I said good, and he said good night. So why don't you tell me, and then the next morning and he said definitely would not have passed the Bechdel test. Good
Definitely
night.
did not pass the Bechdel test, and that's what that's the thing is what is it? Is I think the first Jurassic Park reboot where they had the one scene where the woman calls her sister who's taking care of her kids, and they have a whole conversation. And it's like, I need to watch that. That's the one thing I need to watch again, right? Just to see, where it was they put in an insert just to pass the Bechdel test. That was amazing, where it was just like, oh.
I feel like I've seen that in another movie too,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, and it was a joke though when I
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, it might have been.
But
remember
I guess
what it
we're
was.
post Bechdel. But the thing is the women. So it's kind of like, oh, these women have jobs within the thing. They're not just super so the,
You told me,
the
yeah.
chief engineer, right, is
Uh-huh.
the love interest. So, and she talks about that. She talks about her problems, I guess.
There was a black woman.
Right. The
Is she
who
the
is
chief
from
engineer?
No, she's
Okay.
the mother of the younger driver.
So the younger
young
driver
upstart.
was
Nothing.
he black?
Yeah, and
Oh,
nothing
okay.
about him. He doesn't have any relationships with women. It's like none of the the young guy with all the women and the models. Nothing. It's and in fact, Brad Pitt hassles him about living with his mom or something. It's like the only relationship he has with a woman is with his mother, and then with the workers, the engineer, and then the pit crew boss. I don't know what they call them. Was a woman, and then the PR person was a woman. So there were 4 women, and they all had sort of roles. They never. I don't think they ever talked to each other. The pit crew boss might have talked to the chief engineer, but I don't think they did. And if they did talk to each other, they were talking about the men's problems, which was the racing, right? So there's something to be said. There are women in there, right? And they're at least they're there. But
Yeah, there were women
not,
present. They probably couldn't make it without women being present.
But
There's
yeah.
probably a rule.
But it
It's
was
California,
and
right?
so I said this on my Letterboxd review, which was I haven't seen Top Gun, but my feeling is this is what Top Gun is like. And so yeah, it's just a lot of guy stuff. The dialogue is god awful. I had an argument with our
believe.
son. I thought there were 3 scenes of Brad Pitt walking down the road towards the crew in slow motion with a bag over his shoulder, but maybe it only happened twice, and one is a callback. But it's like those kind of shots, and then lots of racing.
Brad Pitt was not in any of the Top Guns, right?
Right.
Oh, so this is Tom
and that's
Cruise.
what it turns out is I didn't
Yeah.
realize this. The guy who directed the mutant Jeff Bridges Avatar Tron directed this, and also apparently directed the Top Gun reboot or whatever you call it, the one that just came out a few years ago. So it's all about Brad Pitt, Top Gun, kind of making this kind of big hit movie.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is it did, and so for me watching it, it was like, oh, this is a simulation or a great recreation of those type of 80s guy movies that I didn't go see, that I refused to see. Like, it's like I saw the preview for Top Gun, and it was like, I'm not going to go see this movie.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to see this
Yeah.
movie because this is going to be shit. Like, basically any Tom Cruise movie, right, from the 80s, like most of them, were like that. And it's
Risky
just like...
Business?
I'm not talking about Risky
Okay.
Business. I'm talking about Tom Cruise movies. Yeah, so you got your Risky Business, which I watched a while ago, and it's just like, oh, this is a gross movie.
It's no Matthew Broderick movie. It's no what's it called? Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, definitely like Risky Business has jumped the shark. Just in the same way, like I need to watch Blue Velvet again, like that film professor was saying a few years ago. It's like, yeah, I showed Blue Velvet to my class, and then I felt like, oh no, this is not right anymore. Like he was like, oh shit, this is bad. Or it's like, and it's like...
You like 16 Candles with the rape scene.
Yeah, 16, but...
Oh my God,
That's
you
the
could
thing.
never...
I don't even want to get started on 16
yeah,
Candles, where it was just like,
we've already talked
I found
about
this
that.
repulsive
Well,
in
you were watching,
1984.
right? Yeah, exactly.
It's just
Yeah,
like,
me too.
why did nobody else? Yeah,
How come-
where am I? Why
didn't somebody stop him? Oh, and then you once in a while you see like what's her name talking about that. You're just like, yeah, I'm really really upset about that. Okay, so Chrissy says Buried Child. We're going back here. Chad Twiner says Keebler the Magician. April Smith says, speaking of older bands, I need to go pick
I
up the
love
new Super Chunk record.
So Keebler the Magician was your character. Yeah, I like that better.
Great.
It's like your character.
And that's going to be the name of the podcast too. Chad
Oh,
Twiner
I'm writing
says,
it down. I didn't even think about that.
sorry, that is an elf, not a leprechaun. Chrissy says, ha, good luck. Chrissy says absurdism with a 70s art design aesthetic. Yes, Nudie 2. Great description. Perfect. The moneyed. Yeah, the visuals like a diorama. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tenenbaums. Thank you. Life Aquatic is her favorite.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson is like the Ramones, Chad says. Lol.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, I mean,
Oh, and I forgot. We did get. So this is very little last minute. We should wrap it up, but we got an email. So Greg had mentioned listening to the show last time. So you remember we were talking about programming and stuff, and then we couldn't remember what an IDE was. So he was yelling IDE, environment.
Greg
right.
who? Which Greg?
Greg.
Okay. Okay.
Stayed at our house. Said, yeah. On the latest Radio Zero today, you heard me shouting IDE when Rose was talking about vibe coding.
Integrated development environment.
Yeah, and the most hilarious thing of all is the product I was working on back in the day when I discovered Poster Children was an IDE named Vibe. No kidding. It only struck me while I was listening. So art imitates life.
It's not the same vibe board that we have.
And he's not yet afraid that LLMs are going to take away his job. So he's having them do tedious SQL queries.
Yeah.
But little to no luck with problems that don't already have web reachable articles on the topic.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah, so
still, I mean, we need to teach algorithmic thinking. We have a lot of work to do to develop for our next. The thing about like integrating AI into the classes, and I may have said this before, is that every single assignment needs an AI like the regulations for what you can use AI for in the assignment. I think students need to and our students have a propensity to like hate AI and not want to use it because they think it's going to take away their art jobs.
I think that's
Some
a
of
certain group.
a certain
but
group
then
do, and then others are
using it.
Yeah, are using it so they can finish their their projects faster. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So you want to do a little political rundown? This is my
I
thing.
mean, we're already hour plus here.
We're hour plus. Okay. I gotta say that I love the Crooked Media podcasts. I love them. I listen to them all the time. Not a sponsor, but I love them. I love Pod Save America. I love Pod Save the World. I listen to those guys all the time. They're my comfort. They comfort me. I probably should start sponsoring them, but they cannot even go as fast as Herr Trump.
Yeah, so that's what I did have a note here since our
Yeah.
last episode 2 weeks ago. These are the things that have happened.
Yeah.
We had the protest. Remember that? The No More Kings protest? That was the day after we did the last episode.
Yeah.
There was a war, right, with bombing and nukes.
Oh my God.
There was a political assassination in the United States.
In the United States.
In Minnesota.
In Minnesota, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Those, and that's
There
just
were
the list I came up with.
2 people were killed and 2 people were hurt. That all happened in 2 weeks, and we didn't even talk about any of it because it's
already gone. It's already
yeah. It's like nothing happened today, or actually nothing. Well, the big beautiful bill is getting maybe not passed.
It's
maybe
freaking nuts.
people are having a problem, and Gavin Newsom is starting to complain loudly about the president, and Pritzker.
Supreme Court has dumped a few things on our nation's head today.
All right, I'll have to look and see.
Yeah.
Chad, thank you for donating plasma. I can't. So these guys can't keep up. Like I go. Even Ezra Klein, I haven't listened to him for a while either, because you want to hear what's going on, but it's out of date. 6 hours later. It's
you mean Ezra Klein, the Wes Anderson of political commentary?
Yeah. What was the name of the political podcast again? So Pod Save America.
All right.
And I'm sorry. I like them. Hi, Tim. Tim says hi. Rock and roll.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening.
My finger's on the button.
All right. Fingers poised on the button of tomorrow.